Hi everyone. It's so awesome to be here with you again today. My name is Sarah Song and I'm a certified aromatherapist and founder of Love Your Limbic, which is a wellness company dedicated to helping people de-stress and find their well-being using aromatherapy as a tool for self-care. I also work for Murad in global visual merchandising, and one of the reasons I love working with Murad so much is Dr. Murad's pillars of wellness, especially be kind to your mind, because as an aromatherapist, using our sense of smell to help us de-stress and be kind to your mind, it's perfect in the way that it works to help us de-stress, and I will show you how in just a moment. And I also want to share with you today 2 different palettes of essential oils that I love for fall. In this very special season that we are transitioning into, we can really use our essential oils to help us with our emotional well-being, especially in this very special season of fall. So I will share that with you today. And just to orient ourselves a little bit, why is our sense of smell so wonderful to be kind to our mind? And the simple answer is our biology of our brain. So I have some rosemary here, but whenever we smell anything, the odor molecules from that object or plant or whatever it is going up into our brain and activating a part of our brain called the limbic system. And this limbic system is really important because it is our memory and learning. It's responsible for hormonal balance, and it's also what triggers our fight or flight response. So that feeling we get when we're really stressed out, it starts in the limbic system of the brain. And when we are stressed out and triggered, or maybe we've gone through a traumatic event, that part of the brain is activated and it sends messages down to our body to release adrenaline, our heart races. We're really ready for action, and that's for good use because it's really to protect us in case there is a threat. However, when we are under constant stress, or this is an epic year of 2020, and this pervasiveness and what Dr. Murad calls this cultural stress, it's something that we can't really shake. And so what we want to do to be mindful and be kind to our mind is really, how do we disrupt that stress response and kind of communicate back to our mind that we are calm and we are okay. And the fastest and most effective way to do that is through our sense of smell. Because as I said before, when we smell something, it activates that same part of the brain that's constantly sending these stress responses and messages down to our body. So just the recap, the most effective and fastest way to calm that stress response down and to calm the nervous system down and communicate back to our brain that we are actually safe is through our sense of smell. And that's just the biology of the limbic system. So getting on to these palettes for fall, which I really love. Fall is just such an amazing season. I think everyone, I live in Los Angeles, however, we don't really have the seasons here, but fall is the time that symbolizes so many things for us as humans that we can connect to. It's a time for change. It's a time for the cooling off and the fall harvest. And if you think about it, it's really just a time for us as people to kind of retreat, slow down, create that kind of self-preservation and coziness, just like the animals are in the wintertime. They're storing up for the winter. And they're really preserving and trying to protect themselves and kind of gather everything that they can for this safe and secure and protected kind of feeling. So that's what I think about for fall. It's also a beautiful time for shedding and letting go of the things that don't serve us as we move into winter and then move into spring where we regrow again. Fall is the time for us to really look at what we want to get rid of and get really still and introspective with ourselves. And we can use essential oils to help us kind of manifest these feelings. It's also a time for balance. So we think about in the fall time, the days and the nights are actually the same amount of time. So there's this beautiful, harmonious thing going on with Mother Nature and this connection to self, and how can we become a little bit more balanced during this kind of what we could call a frenetic holiday time that comes up at the end of the year. So my first palette that I want to share with you, I'll move the rosemary off, is, you know, a very traditional kind of spicy, warming holiday scent. So as you can see, I have actual spices here that you would probably use in a pumpkin pie or any kind of dessert that you might find in this kind of cozy time called that we might eat around fall. So you've got like cinnamon, ginger, cloves, and cardamom. These are 4 spices that we often use during this time. And I have also pulled my essential oils that reflect these spices too, because as I said, the limbic, our sense of smell, it's connected to memories and these feelings of tradition and coziness that we want to create, that through smells alone, we can create that emotional feeling that is really indicative of fall time. So I have cardamom, clove, ginger essential oil, cinnamon, but I also want to share with you what I love to mix and blend with these 4, because these spices can be a little heavy, are some light citrus notes. And I'm pulling sort of the more less sweet citrus notes. So I have white grapefruit, which is the least sweet and intense of the red and pink grapefruit essential oils. I have mandarin versus sweet orange. So this has a little bit of a deeper, not so sweet, cloying kind of feeling. And then the last one I have pulled is bergamot. Bergamot, I don't know if you're familiar with it. If you are, it's a bitter citrus, and it's the smell that is used in Earl Grey tea, which I always kind of love. I find that Earl Grey is sort of like a really wonderful fall time tea to drink as well. So I actually love blending with my heavier, spicier, more traditional scents, kind of this beautiful, like spicy, but bitter citrus as well. And they kind of pair really well together. Now, because these are so spicy and what we call warming, they're almost analgesic, they can be irritant to your mucous membranes. So that's why diffusing these, where you're diffusing and dispersing all the molecules into the space, is actually not what I would recommend. For these types of smells, I would recommend inhalation, which is a little bit more direct to your nose. So you can use a cotton pad, you could create your blend to whatever liking you want, put it in a little bottle, put a couple drops on, and then smell it that way. You can also buy these inhalers, which comes with a cotton wick, and you basically just put about 20 drops, mix it in a glass or stainless steel bowl, and then drop your wick in there, put the wick inside the chamber, and you have your own inhaler. These create just like a beautiful, very personalized way to enjoy these types of spicier, warming essential oils, where you might not want to disperse them all throughout your space because they could irritate your eyes. What I do love though about this type of palette is the use of candles, because candles is such a great way to bring in that cozy, warm fall feeling, that sense of security, being under a warm blanket, and have your candles going. With the candle, you'll get the scent, but it's not dispersing the molecules into the air the same way a diffuser would. So I recommend candles. I think that's always great way to bring that ambiance for fall time into your home. Okay, so that was palette number 1, our spices, our warming spices. And then I want to share with you another palette of fragrances that I call a walk in the park. Now, I had said that fall time is really, for me, a beautiful time for kind of calming my mind and my soul, being a lot more introspective as we retreat indoors, figuring out what it is that we need to shed in our lives and what it is that we need to preserve for ourselves. And the way that I love to do that is to just get really still and grounded and contemplative. And I pull on these essential oils called Walk in the Park because I find that if I'm ever outdoors in a foresty, expansive, really beautiful setting like that, it allows me to kind of get still with myself and it's just a really beautiful feeling. So I pulled, let's see, you can use any type of conifer-like essential oil, but I have spruce, I have a pine, I have Douglas fir, cedarwood. I've even pulled juniper berry, which is the smell, which is what gin is made of. So that has a little bit of a spicy note to it, but a little bit different from your typical kind of conifer-like scents, like your spruces, pines, or firs. And I also pulled a very special one called hinoki. Hinoki is a Japanese cypress that is used for making temples and shrines. It's been used for thousands of years in Japan, and it has this very sacred, almost spiritual scent that kind of transcends time. It's really beautiful, and I highly recommend it if you like that kind of scent and sort of want to gather this sort of timeless, sacred feeling. So I'm going to share with you one of my favorite essential oil diffuser blends using some of these. So I'm going to use my hinoki just because it really takes me to this beautiful, introspective, and contemplative place. And I want to also use frankincense, which this is what the frankincense resin looks like. It's actually, if you cut the bark of frankincense, it oozes a resin and it looks like this, and that's where you get the essential oil. Very similar to hinoki, but with a different aromatic profile. It has a very spiritual, sacred, very grounding. I always love to go to frankincense if I'm feeling, quite frankly, anxious and chaotic, and I need to pull all of my thoughts together. So this is a great fall scent because it also has a little bit of spice to it. And then I'm going to add, let's see, one of my citruses that I'd spoken about before. So I'm gonna go with the white grapefruit. It's light, it's a little sparkly, I'm not gonna add a lot, but it just kind of adds that rounded out balance that we talked about with fall, where your day and your night is the equal time. When I look at blending, I really love to kind of balance maybe something a little bit more heavy with something a little bit more light, and it just has a very nice, well-rounded scent to it. So this is my nebulizing diffuser here, and nebulizing diffuser just means that it doesn't require water. It's very potent. So basically I'm just gonna have fun with this and do about 10 drops. Because I want hinoki to be the main, I'm gonna go about 5 drops with hinoki. But again, you can use spruce, you can use Douglas fir, you can use a pine, you can use a cedar wood, any type of like woodsy scent that you are drawn to. And I want a little bit of that frankincense. I call frankincense my security blanket in the cold. It just wraps you up and envelops you, makes you feel very warm. I'm gonna add 3 frankincense, and just to round it out, 2 white grapefruit. I wouldn't add pink or red grapefruit. It's just a little bit more sweet. This diffuser has a timer, so it can go 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off for an hour, and then it auto shuts off. With diffusing, you're basically dispersing the molecules into the air, and it's very strong. And just some guidelines for safety, you really want to just have this on for about 10 minutes in an open space and then turn it off, give yourself a break. And then you could give yourself a break for even 40 minutes to an hour. You don't want to overdo it because you can actually get nose fatigue, which is something that if you're smelling the same thing over and over again, you stop smelling it. And when that happens, your tendency is to want to crank this thing up even more. So it's good to give your cells a break as well as give your nervous system a break, because you don't want to end up kind of overdoing your system and getting a headache, because these are chemicals after all. So this is going, and this smells really beautiful. It's got that kind of sacred, spiritual scent, a little woodsy, a little foresty, and I can smell a little bit of that grapefruit. And I just love it because it makes me feel very introspective and kind of quiet for this fall time transition. Well, that's all I have today. Again, my name is Sarah Song, and I really hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions on aromatherapy or essential oils, or just how to de-stress using aromatherapy, please feel free to reach out to me at Love Your Limbic on Instagram or Facebook. And happy fall, everyone. I wish everyone a lovely and calm holiday season this year. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.